Okay, everyone, welcome. It is Game Time Who? Game Time Who? Another chess video brought to you by the wonderful people here at Chess.com. And this is I am Daniel Rensch. And today we are continuing our study of the isolated queen pawn. Here in this video, we plan to do a couple positions that show you how to win with small advantages. And our next video, kind of gets to the smallest of advantages. Basically, here you're playing with two really, actually maybe just one really advantage in the position, and that is the pawn structure. There's not even really enough material on the board for my favorite thing to come into play, that principle of two weaknesses thing. And so what we're going to show here is how the knight can outplay the bishop here. Black typically doesn't want to just give up the bishop for the knight in these types of positions. Why? Because he's hoping that potentially you'll transition into some open board endgame with pawns on both sides of the board. As we've talked about on multiple occasions, the bishop is, a better piece than the knight when there are pawns on both sides of the board. Okay, if you want to think about this position, just develop a basic plan, you can, but it's not really too much we're asking of you. Black is threatening, some tricks along the back rank, even though it's not really threatening any kind of mate. It's just, it's still good to be aware of that. White played rook 8 at e1. Nothing too fancy. It did allow black some activity here with queen a4, and after b3 and queen a5, we reach our first critical position. So if you're going to think, I would recommend you maybe take a little bit of time here. Again, the major piece endgame is something we are going to cover in our next video. We are going to cover basically that you do have enough to play for a win, even with just rooks on the board or just queens on the board, or rook and a queen, some majors there, just because the isolated queen pawn is a target, and a pawn is a pawn is a pawn, as we love to say. So we're going to talk about that. And so if you're wondering what would happen if black made some exchange here on d4, how we would convert that small advantage, here it's not too hard to see that, if he did, his pieces are not optimally placed to deal with just simple threats of the pin. Unless he's got one of those positions where his rooks are really active and there's all kinds of crazy counterplay, if they're just sitting behind the pawn is almost always picked up by that basic trick of the fact that the pieces behind the pawn end up running into a pin. Kind of a typical idea. So we're not really going to go into what happens on the exchange of the bishop or the knight in this particular lecture. Instead, like I said, you can take a few moments here. We'll pause. I'll stop talking. Okay, hopefully you did that, and come up with the fact that white really is trying to squeeze something very minimal here, and so he's trying to win the endgame with only one advantage, and that is the isolated queen pawn there. So our goal is to figure out a way to do that as white, and we'll see what you came up with here. But white's first move he played is g3, which is an exclamavillage.
We hope you enjoyed this video demo from Chess.com. Subscribe today to finish this video and get unlimited access to our full video library. Your membership also includes access to Chess Mentor, the most advanced interactive training tool available anywhere. You'll also get full access to the Opening Explorer, Tactics Trainer, and much, much more. So sign up today and get serious about improving your game.